everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of 10 Minute Tuesday. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. Today's episode, I have Miss Jackie Kiadii in the building. Miss Jackie, how you doing?
I am doing great, thanks, and thank you so much for the invite. Excited to be here.
Yeah, appreciate you. So we've done a number of these. So Jackie, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, so my name is Jackie Kiadii. I always tell people when it's pronouncing my name, think of the wine Chianti and just put a D in there and you've got it. I have been self-employed since 2001. I run a boutique training agency. We specialize in teaching Microsoft Excel, especially to data analysts. So teaching the data analysis skills within Microsoft Excel. And then within the past, I would say 6 years or so, we've also specialized in helping people bridge the gap from Excel to Power BI. So we teach Power BI fundamentals with a bent towards showing people how they can transfer their Excel skills over to Power BI. And yeah, that's pretty much it, me in a nutshell. When I'm not training, I love to attend concerts. I love to travel for concerts. And I am addicted to gardening. I won't say I'm a good gardener, but I'm addicted to gardening.
I love that. I love that. Wow, independent since 2001. So you're 1000% an inspiration for me right now as thinking about that journey because I will hit a year in a month. So when I meet people who are in it for a long haul, you just like, I look up to y'all more than y'all know. But in regards to the podcast and everything, right? You independent since 2001, but at a certain point you had to get your start. So what really compels you to get into data to begin with?
Okay, so I'm old. I'm not old, but I'm older. I like to say I'm older than I look. But I remember being in the workforce back when we first started getting into the idea of desktop computers being on everyone's desk. And like people will have literal meltdown. I mean, full on meltdowns when they were asked to do things on the computer. And I always remember what my dad taught me. And he will always say, if you're willing to do what other people, you're willing to do the work that other people run away from, you can always write your own ticket and things like that. So I was like, everybody's afraid of these computer things. Let me find out what this computer thing is about. And so that's what drove me to, then I became the person in the office. People will say, oh, I don't want to fool with computers. Give it to Jackie. She'll do it. And then after that, I decided to just go back to college and get my degree in computer information systems. And that's where it started. I was in college and I was just naturally drawn to data. Setting up databases. Back then it was all about access and Visual Basic for applications. And I just loved it. And I just love the idea of relational databases and, the back end stuff. Even to this day, a lot of people, when they see Power BI, because it's so powerful, the visuals are so, magnificent, they get caught up on the visuals. But what's exciting to me is like establishing the table relationships and especially making sure like my model is fast. Like I get really excited when we start to talk about, doing things that make the model more efficient. So that's how I fell into it. Got a job in corporate and I was doing data analysis and did not know I was a data analyst. I was just doing stuff with Access and Excel and Visual Basic for applications and an old tool called Map Info. That's a geographic information system. And so I was just doing this stuff and didn't know what I was doing was going to call data analysis. And that's kind of like how I fell into it. When I went independent, I did some consulting, some independent consulting for a while. And then once again, I just kind of fell into training. And, I trained on all the Microsoft applications, but just really had a great love for, anything having to do with data. And so that's what brings me here.
Wow, that's like super awesome, super fascinating. I love the impact of like, okay, people won't do it, I'll do it, and you keep a
Yep.
job that way. You stay
Yes.
valuable and you stay employed. So that's I love that mentality. 100%. So thinking about your journey, number of jobs, number of careers, number of places. But this question might not necessarily be data related. So what's been your least favorite job that you've had? And, what did you dislike about it?
What did I dislike about it? Okay. So say cool, there have been a couple of times in my career where I have deliberately sought out jobs that where the situation wasn't the best. Like I might have known that, this may not be the best group to work in. There were some other challenges, but I went in there with my eyes wide open because I had a plan. There was a reason for me to get that job. I was trying to learn something that I could only learn there, that type of thing. So since in those cases my eyes were open, I won't include that. When I think about one of my worst jobs was the job I had as a telemarketer. I was a teenager in America, and they tell you when you are a teenager, you should go and apply at McDonald's and fast food. I could not get one fast food. I don't know what I did to these people. I could not get a job in fast food. So I said, okay, I'm relatively well spoken. Let me do this telemarketing. And I went and got this telemarketing job. And we were doing okay. I was doing okay relative to the group, like one of the top producers in the group. But what I didn't like about the job is I'm on the phone and, I don't know if you ever had a telemarketing job, but the supervisors listen in.
Yeah. Yep.
And then at the end of the call, then they'll come in and start telling you stuff. And so this woman, I don't know why this supervisor kept humbugging me. I was doing well. I'm like, talk to them other people. And so she would come in on the thing and she would be like, well, Jackie, this is the one that got me. She said, so what I didn't like was the interference. If I was not doing well or I asked for help, that's one thing, but you're just constantly interfering with me and interfering with me getting the job and kind of being kind of like authoritarian, a little bit, that type of thing. But then she came and she said, you know what, Jackie, on that last call, I didn't hear you get 3 no's because you're supposed to, that was one of the rules. They have to say no 3 times. And I'm like, but they hung up on me. So that was it. I was like, I have got to leave this job. Of course, being that I was a teenager, I didn't have a car. So I was like, okay, this is the one time in my over 30-year career that I quit a job, but I quit. And I had to walk to the Giant Eagles and call my mom on the payphone and ask her to come. This is how old this was. We didn't have cell phones. So I had to walk to the Giant Eagle, use a payphone, and ask my mother to please come and get me because this job was not working out. So that was the worst job.
Oh, man. I feel like, so I've done a number of these, and I feel like a lot of the experiences come from the call center, telemarketing, QA, everything, all this. But, you build an endurance after working in that environment. That's so funny. So thinking about, your journey and everything, I love the concept of failing forward, right? We don't necessarily fail anything, right? It's all learning lessons. But thinking about that, what would you consider your biggest failure, with quotation marks around failure, and what did you learn from that experience?
So some of my biggest failures, what I've learned from those experiences, both personal and professional and financial, is that sometimes I might have a tendency to hold on for too long. That's the lesson I've heard. That in those cases, I should have cut bait before then. But I just have this thing about me, Sekou, where I get in and I'm just like, I've got to figure this out. I've got to work this out. Da, da, da. So that's the lesson. When I look across all of that, that's the common theme, that sometimes you've got to cut bait a lot earlier than maybe you want to. So that's the lesson that I've learned from my failures.
I love that, and I'm going to write that down because I think similar mentality of like, I can figure it out, I can solve it, I can this, I can stay up, I can outwork, I can do all this stuff, and earlier on you cut ties and just move on to something else. The happier you are in all regards. Yeah. Oh wow, I love that. I love that. All right, so the next piece. So the target audience for the podcast I try and go after are people who are just starting out in data analytics, or they have worked somewhere and they're trying to get into data analytics, or they're just like the content. So, what is one piece of advice you give someone who's just starting out in their career?
The one piece of advice, and this is something I've seen a lot of people do successfully, is to be public to a certain extent about your journey. So as you're learning, let people know what you're learning. Post on social media. Let people know you're out here, especially someplace like a LinkedIn or a YouTube. Start a YouTube channel. There are no, what is it? One of my business mentors, Lamar Tyler, says the gatekeepers are gone, right? So start a YouTube channel and just document your journey. Just get out there and let people know what it is that you're doing. There are a lot of people who will help you. If they see you helping yourself, they will help you. And that's been the story of my career as well. If they see you helping themselves, they will help you. The other thing I like to just put in here, because I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer, if you're beginning your training journey, train in a lot of things, get your feet wet, but the sooner you can become known for one thing, one or two things, the better off you would be. So the advice to data analysts is, make your journey public, because people will help you. And and then and plus, when you teach other people things, you tend to learn it at a lot of deeper level. So that would be my advice to them. And then if you're starting out as a trainer, like I say, experiment, get to know what you really like training in, and then become known for that thing.
Just more gems, more stuff I'm writing down for my own journey. I mean, this is fantastic. I'm going to get the most out of anybody else on this episode. So this is great. All right, Miss Jackie, tell me about the most influential people in your life and how they made an impact on you.
Oh my gosh, it's all family. So my mom, because she taught me well, first of all, she bred this desire for entrepreneurship, because she always had, if she wasn't working a business full time, she had a part-time business. Um, I mean, growing up, she had a restaurant that I had to work in. She had a boutique that I had to work in. She had different businesses. But she inspired me in terms of the entrepreneurship, and also in looking out for people. So she passed away around, at the end of 2008, when we're going through this big banking crisis. But I just remember all the people that spoke to me, at her services, or even after. Like, I ran into this woman at Zaxby's, and people would say things like, your mom really looked out for me. If she hadn't helped me refinance, I wouldn't have my home that I have now, those types of things. So just really being kind and looking out for people. That's my mom. My dad was always on this kick, is always on this kick. Retired professor of write your own ticket. So remember before, well, if you're willing to do the stuff that's hard, you'll be able to write your own ticket. If you get an education and keep, stay learning, you'll be able to write your own ticket. So that was his influence. And then I would say, lastly, my grandparents grew up in the Mississippi, which is the deep South, in South Mississippi, and just some of the things that they were able to achieve with their lives in those types of conditions. Like, sometimes if I want to complain, I'm like, girl, stop. Please be quiet, because their journey really inspired me. So those are the people that inspired me.
I love that. Great list. Shout out to mom, dad, grandparents, all our ancestors
Yeah.
watching over us, even right now. So that's fantastic. All right, Miss Jackie, where can listeners find you at online?
Two best places are LinkedIn, which you can find me on Jackie Kiadii on LinkedIn, and also on YouTube is under Jackie Kiadii on YouTube.
Love it. Love it. Follow her. I'll have the links in the comments, and we'll definitely make sure that people follow you and capture you. So thank you so much for being on. This was great. I love this episode.
Thank you.
This is like one of my favorites. And
great. I hope we get to meet in person, Sekou.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. We will make that happen. So I'll follow with you offline. Definitely get that. And then, as I said in the beginning, if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll talk to y'all next week. Have a great day.